Hey guys, welcome back to the Inside the Show podcast with Ryan Shell. Obviously, me. It's good to be back. I have a really good topic I want to talk about today. It's kind of just been on my heart and been kind of thinking about it for the past week or so, and I think I wanted to really share it with you guys. So first, we're going to start off the quote of the week, as always. It's funny. This quote is so popular. I actually looked it up because I was like, I wonder how popular this quote is. And surprisingly, when you look up, so it's from the Bible, it's in Romans. So when you look it up, you search popular Roman verses in the Bible. It's like one of the 10 or 12 recommended. Like, oh, like this is like it's there, and I'm like, ah, darn, I thought I picked one that wasn't, I thought I didn't pick one that wasn't super popular and not a lot of people knew about it, but here we are. I looked it up and yeah, it is pretty popular. So I didn't look it up and I didn't get it from Google, but you can find it pretty easily on Google. But yeah, here's the quote of the week. Do not be overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. So super, super simple. And it's actually really nice because my Bible is from 1985. It's my dad's, and the language is almost like a language barrier almost, where it's like written, um, and I almost have to like decipher it because it's the context and like the stories and the words that are in the Bible, specifically my version, are harder to interpret. So I liked this verse because it was very straightforward, and I was like, I got it. That's locked in. I got that message, and it kind of hit me pretty hard. I was like, whoa, and I had to take a step back, and I was like, that's really, really good. So let me read it again. Do not be overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. So the reason it hit hard for me is because I just had a really good conversation with a past professor of mine on campus about, I believe it was Friday of last week, and he's going through a really hard time right now. I'm going to leave his name out of it, of course, but he just recently lost his wife to cancer. It was really heartbreaking to hear, and of course, heartbreaking for him as well. But the first thing I kind of said to him was, I was like, "Are you religious?" And he said yes. And we got into a really, really good conversation about the Lord. And I told him, I was like, "Hey, like, even though these bad things have happened and this happened to you, she's in a better place." And I think I gave him comfort in going back to this quote here, overcoming evil and using good to overcome evil. So in my context with my professor, um, he had this great evil come over his, his wife. And I thought I could give him some peace. And I think I did, because at the end of the conversation, he tells me, he's like, "Hey, I really appreciate you just taking the time out of your day," because it was maybe like a half an hour conversation. We were just talking in the middle of we were talking in the middle of like pretty much right in the middle of campus. There's like this big courtyard, and there's like a pathway, and we were just I was walking by. I said hi to him. Was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And we just started talking from there. So he's like, "Hey, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day just to talk to me." He's like, a lot of students don't really stop to talk to their professors very often. So, yeah, I think it was really important for me to try to give him some peace, because I know how hard losing a family member can be for somebody, me included. So yeah, do not be overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. Be positive. Try to make an impact on somebody's life every single day. We have no idea what people are going through. By simply going up to somebody you don't know and giving them a compliment, it could change their world. It could change their entire mood. You know, you never know what people are going through. Just like my professor, I had no idea he was going through this. I think just being positive, you know, taking the time out of my day just to talk to him, give him the time of day. You know, we really thought that evil he might have been thinking about, or dealing with in his life. Um, and it was a really positive outcome, I feel like. So, on to the main topic of today. You kind of see, I was trying to like pique your curiosity with this title I chose, which is Act on Your Curiosity or Curiosities. You could have several. So, a couple of the points I wanted to make in this episode today is kind of inspired by the book I'm reading currently. It's called Go On More by Nick Bare. I previously mentioned this in my podcast. I think it was episode 2, not sure. But recently he talks a lot about curiosity, and you need to be active, and you need to act on them. So I was reading more and more about it, and I kind of want to reflect on this in this episode, but I also wanted to add on my own kind of flavor, you could say, my own kind of take on it. So yeah. So a couple points I want to make. We're going to start with point 1 is who cares what people think, right? Now, what I mean by this is acting on your curiosity. Like, let's say, for example, you're walking through the library. You know what? Actually, this is a perfect example of me because I just did this. I was walking through my school library, right? And I was walking past this philosophy shelf, and I picked up this book. I have it right here, actually. It's called The Fiction of a Thinkable World by Michael Steinberg. Now, why did I pick this up? Curiosity. Exactly. This is a philosophy book about thinking of life and its greater meaning. And it's also like a subject of theories from different philosophers. So why the heck did I pick this up? Because honestly, I'm generally interested in philosophy in general. It's not my major, but it's something that I'm curious about. So simply acting on it and going, I want to read this. I want to check this book out. So it's honestly bad because now I have like 6 or 7 books on my read list, and I'm like, just keep on adding to it. But that's a whole other topic, whole other issue. Well, it's not really an issue because I just like reading. But yeah, who cares what people think? Like one of my buddies actually saw me pick up this book, right? And he goes, "What are you doing?" Because I opened it to like the first couple pages and I started reading it because I was like, this title piqued my interest, He goes, like, are we gonna go study? Are we like, do you want me to? He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I think I'm gonna check this book out. And he goes, and he goes and he takes the book from me and he goes, why would you want to read about this? This sounds boring. And I looked at him and I was like, because I'm curious about it. What's wrong with that? You know? So that's just a basic example, but who cares what people think? If you're interested in ballet, if you're interested in working out, going to the gym, lifting weights, if you're interested in playing basketball for the NBA, if you're training for that, or like, it does not matter. It could be a sport. It could be a hobby. It could be, dude, it could be anything. Who cares what people think? Honestly, if you're into fashion, go for it. I myself have found myself digging into fashion. I don't know why, but I like dressing nice. For some reason, I'm like, this matches with this, you know? And that kind of goes back to a fear, like being fearful of what people think of you. Again, you should not care. As hard as it is to get past this mental brick wall that we have in our minds in society, is that we want to fit in with this ideal that people set for us. And it's like we live in this box. Think outside the box and and if you're in the box, get out of it, right? Like I said, going back to that library story, I was generally interested into who and what was in the context of this book, or what was this author trying to convey in this book with all these theories he wants to talk about life and its greater meaning. That sounds interesting to me. Maybe it does to you too, which it would be awesome, right? But for other people, it might not be, which is okay. But several times we don't act on things or act on our curiosity because we are fearful that people will think we're weird. People will think we're honestly, I hate to say it, but less valuable as a human being. Like some people will be like, "You're into that? I'm not about that. So I don't think you're all that. Like you're less than me. And I'm a culprit of this, and we all are." That brings me to another point I want to make is when we judge people for their curiosity or we judging people in general, right? The receiving end of that person could be, they'll never do this kind of activity. They'll never look into this again because they're fearful of what people would think. Now, the other end of that saying like people could judge people based off what they like. So for me, a good example is people that go out, party, drink, do all that stuff. In college, it's super, super common. But that's just not me. I don't do that, and I choose not to do that. But my first reaction is when like some of my college friends on campus, they'll be like, "Oh, we're going out this weekend. Oh, we're gonna get hammered." I look at them, my first reaction is, "I'm better than you." Totally not the frame of mind I want to have. But it's the first thing I reach for. I'm like, just because, I don't do that makes me better than you. I'm judging them for maybe their curiosity of drinks or meeting new people, which is completely that's that's not a good thing that I have a habit of doing, but it is definitely something that can affect somebody else on the receiving end of that. But I think acting on your curiosities is so, so important. It's so important. If you are going to a party, that's okay. Maybe network yourself, meet new people. That's okay. If you like reading like me and reading different things and you branch out and somebody judges you for a book that you picked up, who cares? You know, I believe one of the points about this life that we live in, right? Why we're here is to be a sponge almost, gain as much knowledge as we possibly can in whatever fields we're interested in. You know, philosophy is not my major, like I said, but I'm interested in it and I think it's really cool. And it's interesting to learn about how other people think about it or how other people think about different ideas. So when you look at the grand scheme of things, whatever you're interested in, people are going to judge you. They're going to judge you. I recently listened to the Founders Podcast. Really, really, really love that podcast. It's about business owners and entrepreneurs. And this guy kind of like reads people's books or autobiographies and he just has a bunch of notes and he just reads them and his take on those entrepreneurs on their books and stuff. And he gives a review on it and what he takes away from it. So I recently listened to the one with Elon Musk and he said that Elon Musk didn't care what people thought. And he was obsessed with gaining as much knowledge as he possibly could. He was always in the library reading, reading, and reading on whatever subject he was interested in. Do we think that Elon Musk, cared what people think to get to that level? I mean, look where he is now. He's trying to get us to Mars, God forbid. You know what I mean? If he listened to other people and, if he listened to other people's opinions of him, and they weren't good. The narrator of the Founders Podcast talks about how several people would kind of talk crap about Elon, behind his back to his face and be like, "You work too hard. You're kind of an a-hole," kind of thing. And do you think if he listened to those people, you think he would be where he is today without not caring? He purposely did not care what other people thought of him. So I think for that, we need to act on our curiosity. He was curious about building a business. His first business sold for like $21 million. That's insane. And then he said, I want to start fresh. And he ended up using that $21 million that his first company sold for and invested it in an entire new company because he loved building businesses and he loved reading and gaining knowledge on them. I think it's so important that we act on our curiosities. Because if we don't, what are we going to do with our lives? If we don't act on our interests, we have no path. This leads me to my second point. Doubt is dangerous. Doubt is evil. going back to our quote of the week, doubt could be a form of evil. And I think doubt creates this essence of we think we're not good enough almost. We're doubting our capabilities and who we are as a human being. So if we have this self-doubt, right, we're not going to push forward and we're not going to strive to do different things or do better things, if that makes sense. Doubt creates this sphere almost, this dark sphere inside of us. It's like poison. It's almost where if you have immense amount of doubt, you're not going to want to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You just want to stay, like I said, in that box. You want to stay in this box and be comfortable. And I get it. Doubt, we all have it. We just can't let it control us. I'll give you an example. My I'm currently thinking of doing either a half or full marathon. That's crazy because I'm a bodybuilder, right? I'm a bodybuilder. I just did a show. Why the hell am I going to go do a marathon? Those two things don't fit. Okay. Being big and bulky and running, two totally opposite sides of the spectrum. And I asked myself this question. I was like, what if I do a half marathon next year? I tried to do a big fitness goal, once a year. And this year it was my bodybuilding show. So I want to progress in the gym. And I'm also thinking like, can I run, a half marathon? Can I do that? I'm doubting myself already before I maybe even think of doing it. Um, and I told, um, I told some of my friends that I was thinking of doing a marathon, and he looked at me and he was like, dude, you're too big to run a marathon. And I listened to him. I did. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. I probably should just stick to bodybuilding. And I'm thinking, maybe I can do this, you know? So we all have doubt. We all have these insecurities. I feel like I'm too big to run a marathon. I'm too big, bulky. I don't want to, hurt my ankle or, do anything like that. And I don't want to lose muscle. So there's a bunch of little details you have to worry about, stuff, especially physical stuff like that. But I'm saying that overall, we all have doubt. We all doubt ourselves and our capabilities. And we need to get past that. Self-doubt is evil. And it can totally ruin our confidence. And confidence is key to pretty much everything in terms of presenting yourself well, you know, how you carry yourself and how you embody your beliefs. Doubt can not only disrupt our confidence, it can hinder us for the rest of our lives. We will always have doubt, but the important thing to remember is we can control it, we can previously think around it. There are ways to control our doubt and our self-doubt, so keep that in mind. To my third point, be open-minded. So we did just talk about who cares what people think. Doubt is an insane concept, and it's extremely dangerous to our confidence. But in terms of acting on our curiosity, we need to be open-minded because when I went to college, my first and second year, I knew I wanted to do something health related, but I had no path. I had no I didn't wake up every day going, I know exactly what I'm going to do today, and I know exactly, where I am, what I'm going to do with my life. No, I did not. And this goes back to the doubt. I was doubting myself and my abilities of where I could possibly go with my career. Obviously, I'm still in school. I'm a junior. I'm going to turn 21 next year. I'm still pretty young, but being open-minded to new experiences. I took an internship at a hospital near me, but it was in their sports medicine department, and that's kind of where I found my path involving sports psychology. I just found it so interesting, the mind behind the physicality and work ethic of people. So being open-minded and going through a bunch of different experiences, like this bodybuilding show I just did, like working several different jobs, and by doing this last internship that I did, being able to experience things is so important because you'll eventually find yourself and you might find a path that you want to take for your life and your career. So that's just my example. Another example I have is something that is very new. I joined a group on campus. I mentioned it in my last one when I talked about Crew, John Carroll Crew. I mentioned it when I was talking to John on my previous podcast, episode 5. It's a really, really good group of people. However, I've never taken this step before. I am going to probably go on this. They have a fall retreat. It's about 2 days, and they they scheduled it. It's about the end of October, and my first thought is, oh my gosh, Friday, Saturday is the retreat. I'm like, I work out both those days. I'm not going to be able to work out. But I had to remind myself, like, working out is not the end all be all, you know? Being open-minded and thinking, how can I grow from this spiritually? And how can I grow from this mentally? And even socially, you know? I might be able to make new friendships that might last my entire lifetime if I go to this, you know? But I didn't look at it like that at first. I'm very much, I gotta stick to my program. I gotta stick to this workout and this workout, and I gotta eat these foods and these meals those 2 days. So that was a struggle for me at first because I was like, I can't drop, I can't just not work out. I can't not just eat my meals. But I think it's important to also take a step back and realize if I miss 2 workouts, not that big of a deal. In terms of progress, I might make more progress because I'm taking more time off. I might come back stronger the next week, right? But I think it's important, not just in regards to what I'm going through with, this retreat through Crew. Being open-minded to new experiences can further enhance yourself, and you can gain knowledge on certain different topics. So, for example, you could join a club team. If you're in college like me, you could join a club team. If you're not in sports, you want to join a community. So this kind of just goes back to being open-minded in general. Don't close off doors to things that might lead to something maybe greater and might lead you down a new chapter of your life. I mean, when I was working for a tire shop previously, and I don't regret it at all. It's a great, great company to work for. It showed me the value of work ethic, but I was being open-minded. I moved on to something different, and I like it better. I'm not going to lie, I enjoy it better. I come to work every day. Not every day. I come to work, every time I come into work, I enjoy it. And with the tire shop, it was just getting old. But I was open-minded to the fact that I had been working this job for 4 years, and I took a risk on applying for something completely different, being in the restaurant industry. That's too mechanic working in a restaurant. That doesn't mix. You know what I mean? I took a risk, and I was being open-minded. I'm like, okay, it's time to try something new. That's what I did. And the experience so far has been eye-opening, truly. So I think being open-minded can be incredibly important in regards to just not closing off doors that you think will harm you. They might benefit you. If you simply open doors and allow people in that maybe a community that you're investing time in, maybe just seeing a flyer on your school wall, school calendar, or volunteering at an animal shelter, doing volunteer services, whatever it may be. If you're open-minded to experiences, I guarantee you're going to grow your brain. My mom always tells me that I need to grow my brain. And growing your brain, not just in the school sense of going to school, but growing your brain through experiences. And that's the greatest way to learn, is through experience. Point 4. Man, this is a heavy one. Covering all those points I just talked about. Who cares what people think in regards to your curiosity? Doubt is extremely dangerous. Doubting, yourself and what you think or are curious are curious and being open-minded to new experiences, you only get one life to do all these cool things. If there's one thing I wish people would take away from this podcast today, is that we only get one shot at life. I myself am not going to sit by and watch all of these experiences happen in front of me and not go and do them. I want to, like, as cringy as this may sound, or corny, whatever you want to call it, I want to live my life to the fullest. I have so much envisioned for my life, and I hope people who listen have the same kind of ideal and way of thinking. You only get one shot, and okay, you could argue that maybe God, has a short life for me planned out. Maybe I get an illness. Maybe I get hit by a car. I don't know. But if that happens, let's say I die tomorrow. Am I going to be happy with the person I am? Let's say you die tomorrow. Are you going to be happy with your life and the decisions and experiences you made or had? Think about it. If you died tomorrow, would you be okay with the way you lived your life? You only get one chance to do this right. And right is relative when I say right. When you think of your life and what you want to do with it, and maybe you don't know what you want to do with it yet, which is completely fine. Because to be honest, I still don't know my direct path. I know that God has a plan for me, but I don't know exactly where I'm going to go. I don't know if what school I'm going to, like grad school yet. I don't know any of that stuff. But I believe that I'm going to make it happen regardless. You really just need to take into account and take a step back and just realize, we got limited time. Time is our greatest enemy, but can also be our greatest friend. And how we utilize that time will determine who we are. So you get one life, man, or woman, whoever's behind this, yeah. I think going back to all those points, if you died tomorrow, you got to picture yourself as in, did I really grab life and grab everything life has to offer? Did I use it all? Did I just let it pass? Or did I just let it pass by? I don't know. This is just how I look at it. You only get one chance to do this, right? Are you going to care what people think about you? Are you going to let them determine your path in life? Are you going to let other people decide who you are? Are you going to let all this self-doubt and hatred towards yourself consume you? Are you going to be closed-minded? Are you not going to be able to do certain experiences? Are you not going to want to do these certain things or experience things with your family, friends, whatever, volunteer service, whatever? The biggest thing, you guys, that I wanted to touch on this podcast is specifically this last point of you only get one shot and one life. And what you do with that life, what you do with that time and the people you spend your time with is precious. So whatever you decide to do, be good at it. Be a good person. Stay positive. I love y'all. Peace.